Good morning. So today I am going to teach you applications of Henry laws. Okay, Henry's law. Applications of Henry's law. First application is to increase the solubility of carbon dioxide gas in cold drinks and soda water. Bottles are sealed. Bottles are sealed under high pressure. Under high pressure. This is in accordance with Henry's law, that is, higher the pressure applied or greater the pressure applied, greater will be the solubility. Greater will be the solubility of gas in liquids. Okay, so this is one of the application of Henry's law, that in cold drinks and in soda water the carbon dioxide gas is dissolved at high pressure. Okay, as we know, according to Henry law, solubility of a gas in a liquid, okay, increases with increase in pressure. So as the pressure is high, okay, when the bottle is sealed under high pressure, means more of the carbon dioxide gas can be dissolved in the cold drink and the soda water. Okay, and you can check it when you are going to open the cap of the bottle. Okay, then you will come to hear a hissing sound. Okay, why this hissing sound comes? Because when you open the top of the cap, okay, when you open the cap, okay, what happens? Suddenly the pressure, okay, decreases. Suddenly the pressure decreases. As the pressure decreases, solubility of the carbon dioxide gas, okay, present in the. Now come to other application. The partial pressure of oxygen, the partial pressure of oxygen in atmosphere is high. Therefore, it combines with hemoglobin in our lungs to form oxyhemoglobin. Okay, to form oxyhemoglobin. inside our body, okay, the partial pressure of oxygen, the partial pressure of oxygen is comparatively low therefore in tissues oxyhemoglobin releases oxygen for the cellular activities. Okay. It is written the partial pressure of oxygen in atmosphere is high. What does this mean? We know in our atmosphere, okay, so many gases are present, but among these gases nitrogen and oxygen are present, okay, in we say greater, means oxygen and nitrogen and oxygen have greater abundance, okay, means nitrogen, you know, it is about 78% and oxygen is about 21%. Okay, and I have taught you, okay, what is partial pressure. Partial pressure means what? Means in atmosphere so many gases are present. Carbon dioxide gas is there, methane gas is there, oxygen gas is there, nitrogen gas is there, helium gas is there, okay. So total pressure exerted by the gases will be sum of their partial pressure, okay, and partial pressure will be the pressure exerted, okay, by the gas individually. The pressure exerted by the gas individually. So the pressure exerted by oxygen in atmosphere individually is called as partial pressure of oxygen, and because it is second most abundant, okay, in the atmosphere, so its partial pressure will be high. It will be less than nitrogen, but it will be greater than rest of the gases, okay, and that's why it is written here the partial pressure of oxygen in atmosphere is high, okay. So due to this, what happens, it combines with, means oxygen combines with hemoglobin, okay, in lungs. As we intake oxygen, okay, in lungs it combines with hemoglobin, okay, and it forms oxyhemoglobin. Inside our body, comparatively partial pressure of oxygen is less. So what happens, in our tissues oxyhemoglobin releases oxygen, and this is used in further cellular activities. So again pressure is playing a role, okay, pressure was more, partial pressure was more, means solubility increased and it got dissolved in our hemoglobin, okay, present in blood, okay, and then as the pressure decreased, its solubility decreased, okay, and it came out of oxyhemoglobin. So this is again in accordance with Henry's law, okay. Come to next application. As we go up, okay, the partial pressure of oxygen starts decreasing. As we go up, the partial pressure of oxygen starts decreasing. Okay, and this is the reason, and due to this reason, mountaineers okay, starts facing breathing problem. At higher altitudes or at high altitudes, which is known as anoxia. Which is known as anoxia. Okay, getting me? As you will go up, okay, suppose you are climbing a mountain, means you are going up, then what happens? The oxygen level is getting decreased, okay, is decreasing, gradually decreasing. So what happens? Partial pressure of oxygen decreases at height, certain height, say it is, suppose you have climbed 60 meter, okay, then the oxygen present at ground level is more than the oxygen present at a height of 60 meter. So what happens here? The partial pressure of oxygen is more, but at certain heights, as you are climbing up, okay, then their partial pressure of oxygen is decreasing, and due to the decreased partial pressure, it is not able to combine with hemoglobin, okay, means it combines with hemoglobin, but that is relatively less, okay, and due to this what happens? At higher altitudes, okay, mountaineers starts facing breathing problem, okay, and this is known as anoxia. And this is the reason why mountaineers used to carry oxygen cylinder with them. Oxygen cylinder with them. So it is again in accordance with Henry's law. Now come to next application of Henry's law. Aquatic animals are more comfortable in cold water than hot water. this is because in hot water value of Henry's constant Kh increases, which results in decreased solubility of oxygen in water, and due to this aquatic animals start suffering, starts suffering. I have told you earlier, Kh, Henry's constant, depends upon temperature. As you will increase the temperature, Kh will be increased, and as Kh will be increased, solubility of gas in liquid will be decreased. So what happens, aquatic animals likes to or we say aquatic animals are more comfortable in cold water as compared to hot water, because hot water means temperature is more, and as temperature is more means Henry's constant Kh will be more, and Kh is more, it means solubility of oxygen gas in that water is less, and if there is less oxygen is dissolved in the water, then aquatic animals start suffering because they need oxygen to survive, and this is the reason they feel more comfortable in cold water rather than hot water. Now come to limitations of Henry's laws. These were some applications of Henry's law. These are asked in board exams. That's why I have written all these points. So in your board exams, it will be directly asked to explain or write Henry's law applications. Now come to limitations of Henry's law. So it is limitations of Henry's law. First limitation of Henry's law is it is only applicable for gases at ideal condition, or it is only applicable for gases in ideal condition. That is low pressure and high temperature. It is limitations of Henry's law, and first limitation is it is only applicable for, means Henry's law is only applicable for gases in ideal condition. First thing is it is only applicable for gases. Second thing is in ideal condition. Ideal condition is what? Low pressure and high temperature. So this is one limitation. Second limitation is gaseous particles should not associate or dissociate gaseous particles should not associate or dissociate in the liquid solution. And third limitation is gases should not react chemically with the liquid solvent. For example, ammonia gas reacts with water chemically and forms NH4Cl, ammonium chloride. NH4OH. Okay, NH3 combines with H2O to form NH4OH, which dissociates into NH4 plus OH minus. Getting this? Means what? This time, okay, NH3 is reacting with H2O chemically. Okay, here NH3 chemically combining with water. Okay, take other example. Say HCl gas, hydrogen chloride gas, HCl gas. Again, HCl gas combines with water to form okay, it is HCl gas. Okay, and it will combine with water and it will dissociate into S3O plus Cl minus. Okay, it will dissociate into S3O plus and Cl minus. This is reversible reaction. So again, this time you will see, okay, hydrogen chloride gas is combining chemically with water. So these are some limitations of Henry's law. Okay, now just try to solve, okay, some numericals based upon Henry's law. Okay, so the question is the Henry's law constant, the Henry's law constant for the solubility of N2 gas in water at 298 Kelvin, 298 Kelvin is 1.0 into 10 to the power 5 atm. The mole fraction of N2 in air, the mole fraction of N2 in air is 0.8. What is the number of moles of what is the number of moles of N2 from air dissolved in 10 moles of water, dissolved in 10 moles of water at 298 Kelvin and 5 atmospheric pressure, and 5 atmospheric pressure. This question, okay, is asked in IIT 2009. Okay, getting the question? Okay, so question is, the Henry's law constant for the solubility of N2, okay, gas in water at 298 Kelvin is 1.0 into 10 power 5 atm. So here Kh is given. Kh is equal to 1.0 into 10 to the power 5 atm. Okay. The mole fraction of N2 in air is given 0.8. Here mole fraction means X N2, okay, in air, X N2 in air, mole fraction of N2 in air is given as 0.8. What is the number of moles of N2 from air dissolved in 10 moles of water at 298 Kelvin and 5 atmospheric pressure? Pressure is given here, 5 atmospheric pressure. Okay. Number of mole of water is given here, 10 moles, and we have to find number of moles of nitrogen. We have to find number of moles of nitrogen. Okay, so these are given data. Now how to solve? What is Henry's law? Okay, what was the formula, okay, which we have derived? The formula is, it is partial pressure of the gas, partial pressure of the gas, say it is P, partial pressure, say it is P, and of the gas means N2. It is partial pressure of nitrogen gas, say, okay, so it is equal to Henry's constant Kh multiplied by mole fraction. So mole fraction means X N2. Okay. Okay. So here we have given Kh, we have given Xn2, but you have to keep in mind this Xn2 means mole fraction of nitrogen, okay, is in air. This is in mole fraction of N2 in air. This is mole fraction of N2 in air. Okay, so from here put value of kh is 1 into 10 power 5, 1 into 10 to the power 5, okay, into xn2 is given 0.8, okay, means we say Pn2 means partial pressure of nitrogen gas is equal to kh so okay, we are making some mistake here, na? Just find out partial pressure of nitrogen gas. It is not given, so Pn2 will be equal to mole fraction of N2 multiplied by total pressure. It will be equal to mole fraction of N2 multiplied by total pressure. Okay, total pressure we have given here, it is total pressure, 5 atmospheric pressure, it is total pressure. So it will be equal to mole fraction is 0.8 into 5, okay, so it will be equal to 4 atmospheric pressure. So we have obtained value of partial pressure of nitrogen gas. Okay, now apply this formula. Okay, so I am rubbing this. Okay, just have a look on the question. Okay, we have Pn2. Now we have formula Pn2 is equal to kh into xn2. So from here we can say this xn2 will be equal to Pn2 upon kh, and this xn2 we are going to find will be mole fraction in water. Okay, here it is given xn2 is mole fraction in air, so we need value of mole fraction in water. Okay, because it is getting dissolved in water, so we need mole fraction, okay, of N2 in water. So it will be calculated as xn2 will be equal to Pn2 upon kh. So Pn2 we have calculated here is 0.8 into 5 means 4 atmospheric pressure. So 4 divided by kh is 1 into 10 power 5 means 10 to the power 5, okay, atm. So it will be equal to 4 into 10 to the power minus 5. So we have xn2. Now we can write mole fraction xn2, it can be written as xn2 is equal to number of moles of N2 means nn2 divided by total number of moles, okay, yeah, or sum of moles of all components, so it will be nn2 plus NH2O. Getting this? This is mole fraction of N2, so it can be written as number of moles of N2 upon, okay, sum of moles of all components. So two components are there, one is nitrogen and other is water, okay, or we can say xn2 is given, means we have calculated it is equal to 4 into 10 power minus 5. So 4 into 10 to the power minus 5 will be equal to nn2 divided by NH2O okay, and here N2, okay, can be ignored, okay, is neglected, okay, as compared to number of moles of water, it is very small, so it can be neglected. So we will write N2 upon NH2O. Okay, so from here we will say this N2 number of moles of nitrogen will be equal to NH2O, which is given as 10 moles, into 4 into 10 to the power minus 5. Okay, so from here number of moles of nitrogen will be equal to 4 into 10 to the power minus 4 mole. This is our answer. So this question have been asked in IIT 09. Okay, so 4 into 10 power minus 4 is the answer. Means number of moles of nitrogen dissolved in 10 moles of H2O is 4 into 10 to the power minus 4 moles. Okay. Now it is vapor pressure of pure liquids. Vapor pressure of pure liquids. Vapor pressure of pure liquids. Okay, what is vapor pressure? Say the liquid we are using is water. Okay, the liquid we are using it is water. Okay, so what will happen? You can see water molecules present at the middle. Okay, means water molecule below this water molecule, okay, is exerting a force on this water molecule in downward direction. Okay, so water molecule present above this is exerting a force in upward direction. So you will see water molecule present, okay, in the water is experiencing, okay, forces of attraction. Okay, but all forces of attraction, okay, are being cancelled by the equal and opposite forces. Means if it is being pulled in downward direction, then same magnitude of force, okay, is in upward direction, so it will get cancelled. Okay, and in the same way all of the forces, okay, will get cancelled. Means force will be balanced force. Getting this? But just think of the water molecule which is present near the surface, so it will be experiencing some downward force only. okay, and above this surface no water molecule is present, okay, so this force is not getting balanced, okay. So what we say, water molecule present at surface, water molecule present at surface experiences some downward pull by the water molecule, okay, placed below getting this, okay. So I have written water molecule present at surface experiences some downward pull, okay, by the water molecule placed below, okay. This is one thing. One more thing is happening, okay. Water is a matter, and we know matter is made up of particles, and all the particles are constantly moving, okay. So all these water molecules are constantly moving, and during this what happens, one water molecule, okay, collides with other, okay, or particles of water, okay, collides with other particles of water. So during this collision they transfer their kinetic energy, okay. Say this one is a particle of water, this one is other particle of water, and it is being collide with this, so it is transferring its kinetic energy, okay, to this particle, getting me. So what happens, the water molecule which is present at the surface, okay, have we say more kinetic energy, have some more kinetic energy, because all these are colliding with each other and transferring their kinetic energy. But the water molecule which is present at the surface, okay, they are not going to collide with upward water molecule, because there is no water molecule above this surface. So water molecules present at the surface have more kinetic energy, getting this. So what happens, water or some higher energy water molecule present at the surface tends to escape to increase, okay, the randomness, okay, and in doing so they escapes from the surface of water in form of vapor by taking energy from the rest of water molecule. This results in decreased average energy, decreased average kinetic energy of the system, due to which it gets cool getting this some higher energy, okay, water molecule present at the surface tends to escape, okay, from this water to increase the randomness, okay. If the water molecule which is present at the surface, okay, will have more kinetic energy, then it will tend to escape, and it will escape in the form of vapors, which is known as evaporation, okay. And in doing so, this water molecule gains energy from rest of water molecules, okay. And after taking energy from rest of water molecules, it gets escaped. So what happens? Net energy of the system decreases, and this is the reason evaporation causes cooling. You have studied this. Evaporation causes cooling. Why? Because for the evaporation, okay, energy is needed, and that energy is obtained from the system. So the system gets cooled. Getting this now? Okay. So that is why it gets cool, and evaporation causes cooling. This is the reason. Okay. So what? This process is continuous. If the container is open. Okay, means it is not closed, it is open. So this process will be continuous. Why? Because once it will become colder, but this will be compensated by the surrounding. The surrounding will provide, okay, heat energy to it, and it will get compensated, and again the same process will take place, okay. And a time will come when all of the water will be evaporated. Getting this? So this is open. This is when the container is open, okay. Now come to when the container is closed, then what will happen, okay. So I am writing this. Now if the container is closed, okay. So if the container is closed, then what will happen? Again it is a container, and water is filled in this container. Okay, but this time the container is not open, okay. This one is closed. This one is closed container, okay. So what will happen? Suppose you are supplying heat to it. you are heating. Okay, what will happen? The water molecule, okay, by heating, what will happen? The kinetic energy of the water molecule will be increased, and due to this increased kinetic energy, okay, the water molecule present at the surface will converted into vapor and will escape from this water. Getting this? Means what will happen? Initially only water is present there. As you started heating, okay, water molecules will start converting into vapors. Okay, and as it will become vapor, it will tend to escape. So it will escape, but this time the container is closed from the top, so it tends to escape, but it will not able to escape from this container. Okay, so here water vapor, okay, will collect. Getting this? Means initially no water vapor is there. As we provided heat, water started into converting vapor. Now vapors are not allowed to escape. Okay, so what will happen? Okay, the vapor, these are vapors. So these vapors will start colliding with the walls of the container, Getting this? So what will happen? Not only with the walls of container, it will collide with the water molecule also, and the vapor which will have less energy will condense back to the water. Getting this? Will condense back to the water. So I am writing this. Okay, initially only water is present, in the container, but as evaporation or as we applied heat, okay, or as heat is applied, container, but as heat is applied, water starts converting into vapor. These vapor formed starts colliding with the walls of the container, and with the water molecule, or with the water present in the container. Okay, during this vapors having low energy, after colliding with water molecule, okay, during this vapors having low energy, after colliding with water molecule, okay, condenses back to form water again. Getting this process? Okay, initially only water is present there. As we applied heat, container is closed. Okay, water gets started to convert into vapor. As the concentration of vapors increased, vapors started to collide with the walls of the container and also with the water present in the container. So low energy vapors collides with the water and gets condensed back into water. So two processes are occurring simultaneously. Here two processes are occurring simultaneously, and we say a time comes when rate of formation of vapor from water become equal to rate of formation of water from vapor. Getting this? A time comes when rate of formation of vapor from water become equal to rate of formation of water from vapor. Water is being converted into vapor and vapor is being converted back into water. So a time comes when rate of these two becomes equal, and this is known as state of dynamic equilibrium. Okay, and this state is known as state of dynamic equilibrium. Okay, or phase equilibrium. Why it is called as phase equilibrium? Because water is getting converted into vapor and vapor is getting converted into water. So water is liquid phase and vapor is gaseous phase. So liquid phase to gaseous phase and gaseous phase to liquid phase. So it is also known as phase equilibrium. Getting this? And why it is known as dynamic equilibrium? Because rate of formation of vapor is equal to rate of formation of water from vapor. So it is known as dynamic equilibrium. Okay, now we will define vapor pressure. Okay, so the pressure applied by vapors at this stage of dynamic equilibrium, the pressure applied by vapors at this stage of dynamic equilibrium on the liquid or on the water is known as vapor pressure. Getting this? Okay, when rate of formation of vapor is equal to rate of formation of water. Rate of formation of vapor from water is equal to rate of formation of water from vapor. This stage called as dynamic equilibrium or phase equilibrium. And at this stage, means at the stage of dynamic equilibrium, okay, the pressure exerted by this vapor, the pressure exerted, this is the pressure exerted by the vapor, okay, is known as vapor pressure, is known as vapor pressure. And it is in case of pure liquids, means no impurity have been mixed with this. Okay, so we will discuss these things, okay, in more details in our next lectures. Okay, thank you.